Welcome to today's explainer. I am honestly so glad you're joining us for this one because we're going to unpack a profoundly beautiful piece of timeless wisdom. Look, if you've been feeling totally overwhelmed lately, or if you feel like you're constantly running this exhausting race that literally has no finish line, or maybe you're just desperate for a moment of genuine stillness in a really loud world, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're diving into an ancient text that speaks directly, and I mean directly, to the very modern burnout so many of us are lugging around every single day. We're going to break down some stunning metaphors that I promise will completely shift how you view your daily routines, your stress, and where you actually find your peace.
So I really want you to let this question sink in for a second. How often do we tie our peace of mind to a place we haven't even reached yet? As young professionals trying to navigate today's incredibly demanding, hyper-connected world, we are practically conditioned to live on this endless treadmill of future expectations. We constantly tell ourselves, I'll finally relax when I get that big promotion, or I'll finally feel settled once I buy that perfect house, or I'll be at peace when my startup finally gets its funding. We are literally living in the future tense all the time, basically treating our current kind of messy reality as just a waiting room for our actual lives to begin. It's totally exhausting, isn't it?
This whole mindset is what we call the "I'll be happy when" trap, and it is a massive, massive driver of the anxiety and burnout we're seeing everywhere right now. Because when our happiness and our inner peace are strictly conditional upon some future event happening, we completely rob ourselves of the present moment. We effectively declare that our current life, right here, right now, just isn't good enough to bring us joy. It's like we're stuck in a terrible doctor's waiting room with, outdated magazines. But the truly fascinating thing here is that this is not just some modern problem born out of corporate ladders and hustle culture. Humans have actually been struggling with this exact same illusion for centuries, which brings us to the absolutely incredible source material we are breaking down today.
To navigate this very modern crisis of burnout, we're actually going to look backwards. Today's explainer is entirely grounded in a Hukamnama. Basically, a Hukamnama is the divine command that serves as a spiritual guide or essential thought for the day, and it's drawn directly from Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, which is the holy scripture of Sikhism. Specifically, we're looking at a deeply poetic passage found on page 692, written by Bhagat Kabeer all the way back in the 15th century. Now, Kabeer was a mystic and a poet, but by trade, he was just a humble weaver. He was a working guy. And as we're about to see, his 500-year-old words cut through our modern, everyday anxieties with just astonishing clarity.
Okay, let's dive into this with Section 1. Metaphor 1. Becoming the water.
Bhagat Kabeer uses two really distinct, absolutely brilliant metaphors in this text to explain how we can find peace right exactly where we are. The first metaphor deals with the nature of our minds and how we interact with the world around us. Just listen to the imagery here. He writes, like water, dripping into water, which cannot be separated out again. I mean, really think about that visual for a second. When a single drop of water falls into a larger body of water, it doesn't fight, right? It doesn't try to maintain its rigid little boundaries. It just completely, seamlessly merges with its environment. It becomes indistinguishable from the whole. It is a state of total effortless acceptance.
He then goes on to finish the thought, saying, "So is the weaver Kabeer, with softened heart merged into the Lord." Here, Kabeer is referencing his own daily, repetitive, blue-collar work as a weaver. Notice he isn't saying you have to run away to some isolated mountaintop retreat to find spiritual union or peace. Not at all. He's saying that by softening his heart, by intentionally letting go of his rigid ego and his constant resistance to reality, he merges with the divine right there at his loom. For us today, that loom might be a complex spreadsheet, a really difficult client call, or a jam-packed morning commute. Softening of heart simply means dropping the armor. It means being fully, completely present in whatever task is right in front of us, merging with the reality of the moment exactly like water merging effortlessly into water.
So, the crucial point to take away here is that true peace does not come from forcing our external circumstances to be perfect. Honestly, it comes from flowing with reality instead of constantly fighting against it. When we're caught in that "I'll be happy when" trap we talked about earlier, we are acting like a rigid block of ice. We're just resisting our current environment, basically waiting around for the climate to change so we can finally melt and be happy. Kabeer's wisdom is an invitation to melt right now, to soften our hearts to the emails, the stressful deadlines, the everyday grind, recognizing that we can find a deep, quiet alignment right in the very center of our daily duties. And we do it simply by changing our internal posture from resistance to flow.
All right, moving right along to the second big concept,
Metaphor 2, Benares versus Maghar. Now, what's really interesting about this next part of the poem is that it shifts completely from a metaphor about natural elements to a metaphor about geography. To make his ultimate point about where peace truly resides, Kabeer contrasts two very specific, real-world locations. First, we have Benares. In Kabeer's time, and honestly even today, Benares is considered the ultimate holy city. It's the absolute ideal. The belief was that if you passed away in Benares, you were literally guaranteed spiritual liberation. On the total opposite end of the spectrum, we have Maghar. Maghar was considered this cursed, barren land. It was the absolute last place anyone wanted to end up. For us today, think of Benares as representing that ultimate external validation. You know, the corner office, the six-figure salary, the flawless relationship. Maghar, on the other hand, represents our messy, flawed, everyday reality. Those days when nothing goes right and you just feel stuck in the mud.
Kabeer poses this brilliantly logical, almost cheeky question. He asks, if Kabeer were to leave his body at Benares, and so liberate himself, what obligation would he have to the Lord? He is directly pointing out the total flaw in tying your salvation or your daily peace of mind to a set of perfect external conditions. Think about it. If you only find peace when everything around you is absolutely flawless, when you're sitting in the luxury of your own personal Benares, then what is the actual value of your inner resilience? If the external world is doing absolutely all the heavy lifting to keep you happy, you haven't actually cultivated any real, unshakable peace inside yourself. You are literally just reacting to good weather.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core message of the whole piece. What is the difference between Benares and the barren land of Maghar if the Lord is within one's heart? Kabeer is telling us point blank that the external location, whether that's a physical place or just your current life circumstances, simply does not matter. It is entirely irrelevant. If you've actually done the inner work, if you've cultivated that softened heart we talked about and found that deep connection to peace within your own self, well then the holy city and the barren wasteland are exactly the same thing. The corner office and the cramped little cubicle are exactly the same. Your peace has become completely weatherproof.
Which brings us to our final section, the sanctuary within. So let's bring it all together. We have the metaphor of the water, teaching us to flow and soften. And we have the metaphor of the two cities, teaching us that our environment definitely doesn't dictate our peace. So the million-dollar question is, how do we actively build this sanctuary in our own hectic, super modern lives? Well, we definitely aren't going to find enlightenment just by aggressively checking off our daily to-do lists. Instead, it starts with practicing a few simple shifts. First, softening your heart in those really stressful meetings. When tensions rise, instead of hardening your ego and immediately fighting back, practice being the water. Just drop your shoulders, take a breath, and flow through the friction. Second, finding joy on a random Tuesday morning. Seriously, don't wait for Friday at 5 p.m. to let yourself feel good. Find a moment of quiet grace right there in your morning coffee or on your commute. Third, being fully present at a messy kitchen table. Your life absolutely does not have to look like a magazine cover for you to be deeply grateful for it. That messy kitchen table? That's your Maghar. Find the beauty right there. And finally, letting go of the perfect situation illusion. Stop waiting for your personal Benares. You don't need the perfect job or the perfect bank account to grant you permission to be at peace. You can actually give that permission to yourself right here, right now. We've covered a lot of ground in today's explainer, moving from the very modern trap of conditional happiness all the way back to the timeless, beautiful wisdom of Bhagat Kabeer. He reminded us that if true peace is in your heart, it absolutely does not matter if you are standing in a palace or a barren field. So I want to leave you with this final, lingering thought to carry with you. If peace really is an inside job, where are you carrying your sanctuary today? Are you going to take it into your next stressful meeting? Are you going to unpack it on your commute home tonight? Let's stop waiting to arrive at some imaginary perfect destination to finally feel okay. You already have everything you need to build your sanctuary right now exactly where you are. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep flowing, keep your heart soft, and I will see you next time.